Good evening and welcome to January 17th, 2023 Common Council of the City of Connersville. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilman Clarence Warner.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Psalms chapter 9, verse 10 says, Lord, those who know your name will trust in you, for you have never forsaken those who seek you. So let us seek the Lord together. Father God, I thank you for who you are, our Creator and Lord. I praise you and give you honor before all the people. And now I lift up our city leaders and give you thanks for each one of them. I ask you to grant them discernment and open hearts to the leading of your Holy Spirit, so that the decisions that are rendered will have a positive effect on our future, and that biblical principles might prevail in the public square and throughout the halls of city government. Protect their families as they serve our community, and may we all realize the importance of their civic duties by praying for them often. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone. Remind you to turn your cell phone ringers off. We will begin with roll call.
Councilman Williams Jr.,
Present.
Councilman Phillips,
Present.
Councilman Robb,
Here.
Councilman Gray,
Present.
Councilman Collins, Councilman Warner,
here.
Councilman Barrett.
Everyone has the minutes from the December 30th, 2022 special session and the January 3rd, 2023 regular meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those? No, I'll take a motion for approval.
Motion.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, move on down to new business. I'm going to read off my 2023 appointments to boards and commissions. I'm only going to read the ones that were yearly appointments or anything that changed. I don't think there's reason to go through everything. That would take quite a while. On the airport board, Andy Yarnian will be appointed there. Board of Public Works will remain Jim Barrett, Becky Gibson, Dinah Phillips, and Brian Daub. The Cable Board, Leota King, Fran Schomel, Joe Glowacki, me, Sam Harvey, Michael King, and Sidney Job. Redevelopment Commission, Brad Coulter, Brian Durham, Jim Spence. Fayette County Alcoholic Beverage Board, George Morse. Historic Preservation Commission would be Amy Brumfield, Sharon McQueen, Brian Robb. And the Urban Enterprise Association, Jim Barrett, Victor Reedman, yours might say Jeff, but it is Victor, his son. Bill McDaniel, Jason Morris, Brian Durham, and Dean Nutty. The Park Board, Angie McMullen, and that's it. I will turn it over to the City Council appointments.
Okay, I'm just going to read the ones that are actually one-year appointments also. E911 Advisory Board, one-year term, Clarence Warner. Fayette County Economic Development Board, one-year term, one appointment, myself, Diana Phillips. Fayette County First Aid Unit Review Committee, one-year term, one appointment, Jabin Collins. Redevelopment Commission, one-year terms, two appointments, Mark Beard and Steve Robbins. Urban Enterprise Association, two-year terms, Teresa Isaacs, Sharon McQueen, and myself as City Council representative. And that's it.
Okay. Do we need to vote the City Council appointments on those, Mayor? I don't remember.
No.
Okay. Want to check. Item C, approval, we can do actually C and D, correct. Yeah, we're creating ordinance 3875 and 76, Rosemary.
This is amending the first aid salary ordinance and the police department salary ordinance. We just had rounding errors once again, so we just got to get it fixed.
Any questions on those?
I didn't hear what.
They had rounding errors, like 1 penny versus 2 pennies, so we're just making sure it matches.
I move we pass pending ordinance 6935 and 6936 on first reading.
You have a motion?
Second.
And a second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Do we have a motion to suspend the rules?
Motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Do we have a motion for third and final reading?
So moved.
Have a motion, did you second?
Yes.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item E, approval of resolution 2023-01 IC code. Where's my transfer? Sorry.
Resolution 2023-01 is a transfer within, transferring from general, $26,512.43 to first aid, non-reverting.
Any questions?
Motion to accept.
I have a motion to accept
Second.
resolution 2023-01. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Mr. Coulter, you'll talk about the community crossings grant, sir?
It's that time again to apply for the grant. The Board of Works gave permission to apply for community crossings. I think you guys have seen the numbers. It's about $1.2 million in paving total. Half of that would be paid by us, and a couple $100,000 of those projects are utility projects.
814 total.
Is it,
You've got,
is that without Western Avenue?
yeah, we can take that out. We couldn't do that.
So we would,
Oh, no, Western Avenue is ceiling in there, sorry. We did take the Iowa out. There's a road on Iowa to take out.
so it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.2, 1.1. We pay half of that, and a couple $100,000 of that is utilities for EB Drive and West 10th Street and those areas where we put in water mains, so we'll be paying the match on those portions.
I've broken out color codes so you can see what was utilities, what was city. You can see the city project is $782,613.97. Again, that's estimated from the engineers. There is only $750,000 total budgeted. So you're asking where the extra money comes in. Well, we didn't pave Wayne Avenue last year, so we had to take it off because of water main issues. So we took and take that money and roll into this year's paving to increase what we're gonna pay a little bit. So depending on
Which
where all
we-
the contracts come in, we'll be fine.
We had some left over from 2020
Correct. We just-
as well.
Okra's very aware that no one knows where paving numbers are coming in because it's been, well, I saw a 40% increase this year just alone in paving, so they're very aware of it. So we just have to give our engineers give it their best estimate and go from there. Then the utilities is $117,000 was their portion. There is a map in there. I tried to print it. It did not print very well. I wanted you to be able to see kind of, it's an interactive map we use. Interactive maps do not print well. I gotta work with engineers, see if I can get a better map for you. But that's something we can look at. You can select on each road. It shows the width. It shows the whole history of that road. And so this year in particular, we tried to really knock off the worst roads. We still have a lot of bad roads, as you can see. But we tried to group them all because anytime we move from location to this location, it just drives cost up because they're moving and it just costs money to move that equipment around. So we did try to keep it close together as we can. And I even actually picked out some roads, and after looking, I was like, no, these roads right next across the street are worse. So they're the same condition on this map, but once we go look at them, that's when we determine which ones are really worse. So that's kind of how we did that. There is one road that's outside of that, and it is on Canyon Parkway, because it is in really bad shape, and that's the only one that's really far away, other than the utility roads. They're not on the same location. But everything we're doing as a city, we're trying to keep the cost down by keeping them located.
Was this as of after this year's paving, or?
You're going to see some roads that have been paved that haven't been updated yet on that.
Okay.
So, yeah, they have not, everything we've done this year has not been updated on that. So, yeah, if you're looking at a road we just paved, it's got bad condition, no, it's not right. It just hasn't been updated.
Gotcha.
But it is an interactive map. I have not figured out a way to get that thing printed off for you in a good way, because when I printed it, it shows all the numbers on it. I was like, oh, that stinks.
And they're barely legible. I mean,
Yeah, because it doesn't show me the numbers. I just click on it, it tells me the number.
Right.
Where when I printed it, it showed me the numbers, so I couldn't figure out a way to do that, so,
But this is all for what was already budgeted?
yes.
Okay.
With it, well, yes, we budgeted 375, and so we got around 64,000 that's gonna come in on what we did not spend on Wayne Avenue. There's a little bit extra there,
Right,
so
overall.
that gives us a little wiggle room if prices go up a little bit, so.
And if it is too high, then we will have to take some areas out.
Right.
We still have that option.
Now, you can reduce areas too, right?
That's what I was just,
What I'm saying is,
oh,
that instead of like a whole street, you can take the worst part of that street and do that section.
you don't want to reduce it that much.
No, as an example.
Well, if you have 5 city blocks and the last one's not as bad, then you can reduce it down to 4 city blocks on that road.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yes.
areas we picked were short for that reason. I didn't do long stretches, so we kind of picked up that area from Grand on over, and it's only a couple blocks long, a couple blocks deep, so really, that way we could really keep their numbers in check. You can see it because they're all about the same.
And then this, you can't do alleys, correct?
Can't do what?
Can't do alleys. Is that correct?
No. No,
Not so far,
Unless you name them.
unless you call them and put a street name on them.
I think there's even some more requirements when we do that, because I don't think an alley actually qualifies.
I don't know, I've seen some alleys in town that's got.
Yeah, that is true. But you also have to factor, use of that road. Where does it get, how much use does it get? And that's part of the puzzle too. And the engineers look at all that. Okay, do I have a motion to, request matching funds for a community crossing grant?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Move on down to department reports. Chief Bolos.
Good evening. So earlier today, the Board of Works, I requested to replace one of our lieutenant positions. Last month, we had a captain position open, and I requested to fill that. We did fill it with Lieutenant Rowland, so there leaves a lieutenant spot open. So I requested that I'd be able to fill that. Any questions on the promotions?
They just submit their names, correct?
What's that?
They just submit their names? Is that how you do
Yeah,
it?
you're correct. You submit a letter with their intent of wanting that position.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody have my monthly report. Overtime is still not where I want it. However, in the month of December, there was several, it was a holiday season. Also, personal days played a factor into that, and vacations. On the incident reports, our traffic offenses are up. Our patrolmen are working the streets hard and making a lot of traffic stops. Also, traffic accidents are up in that month, and that's, I think, we had several during that bad weather period. So I think that's the reason why our accidents are up. We had a total of 855 incident calls. For the month of December, was a heavy training month, trying to wrap up our year-end training. We had 125 hours of training in December. Any questions on the monthly reports?
I have, usually, this 1797 on the fuel, was that gallons?
Gallons.
Okay.
That should have been changed.
It wasn't specified.
Yeah, I think a couple of those previous had the dollar sign in front of them,
Yeah,
but they're gallons.
And I appreciate you working on the overtime situation.
Yeah, what helped us out is halfway through the month, we got all 3 of our guys back, so that helped big.
The
Still do have one in the academy, but it's not hurting us as bad, so.
The other thing I have, because he's not here, your code enforcer, I appreciate the things that I contacted him on addressing. The only other thing I asked, and I don't understand, because if I get called, I don't have the answer to. If he would tag these vehicles for whatever he's doing, could he put a date on that?
On the sticker itself?
Or on the date on this report?
On the report, okay, yeah.
So I would know when he addressed the issue.
Sure.
I've been asked about, and you may want to address this or not, I've been asked about a burnt house on Southeastern. And I think he addressed that at one time, but I don't know where he's at on it, and I haven't been able to make contact.
Okay.
If you want to have him contact Integrity Metal and ask them about their dirt they're transferring up onto the street down there, because I've got complaints of, not now that it's rained, but during the dusty season, Southeastern's getting loaded with dust on vehicles and stuff.
Keep an eye on that.
There's some complaints on that.
Sure.
Along with the southeastern part of the city, some of those businesses down there are trashing up the street area by parking unlicensed vehicles, and
Yeah, he did address that a year or so ago and made several.
it's back.
going, and they're back again. Okay.
yeah.
Well,
So,
he
I
he breaks
appreciate-
the city up weekly, so I'll have him when he is in that area. I don't know what his location is, but when he's in that area, I'll be sure to have him check it out, so.
That's all I have, and I appreciate it.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Harden.
Good evening. Everyone should have a copy of my December report. We had 378 calls for service, which brought our total for the year to 3,880. Staffing report, notice, fuel usage. We did get a notice from Anthem that they are increasing what they call the approved rates. So there's one increase January 1st of this year and one increase for January 1st of next year. So it's a stair-step process. On December 29th, they signed a 2-year extension of what they call a Medicare add-on payments. There's a little page further back that kind of explains that. Basically, it's a 2% urban, 3% rural, and 22.6% super rural add-on for Medicare payments. So, and we are in the rural section. The other thing I had was, if you look at the call numbers, the nature of incident calls, it says Fayette County EMS across the top. I cannot figure out how to get the sheriff's badge off that. This is primarily a law enforcement report. I cannot figure out for the life of me how to get that sheriff's badge off there and get something else on there, but I am working on it. So we'll see if I'm not successful in the coming months, but yeah, I did not intentionally put a sheriff's badge there. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one on your overtime. Is that due to your one on workman's comp and one on leave of absence?
I've got 2 on workman's comp and 1 on leave of absence. And
I got one, so.
it's December is, kind of a height of vacation. Everybody's trying to use them before they lose them.
I understand that.
In addition to being 3 people short, so it's just kind of the nature of the beast.
But you still have some on workman's comp and leave of absence, right?
Yeah. The first one EMT off on workman's comp, 1 EMT off on leave of absence, and 1 paramedic off on workman's comp.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Did I have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent Steele.
everyone. Hello. So I have 2 weeks in. It's been a great time. I just wanted to do a little bit of an update on what I've been working on in these past 2 weeks. So I did hold a monthly team meeting, and we are working on some issues, concerns of the park, and goals that the team wants to see happen for 2023. And then I'm also working on putting a committee together for the Christmas in the Park in this year. We have been doing some touch-up paint and patching some walls and things in the gym at the Miller Building, and just working on improving the looks of that. I did meet with Will from the Longwood Bridge. He's been working on that. He's there daily, working on that. He's even been there in the bad weather and the rain and everything. And so he is working hard on getting that accomplished. It's a lot of hands-on work. And so he's there. He's hoping this spring it'll be complete, but that's given whatever weather we have coming our way. If we get any bad weather, you know, it may push that out a little bit. Summer Discovery, I met with Scott Caldwell and Ben Mays, and they will be directing the program again this year. They're very excited. They have some great ideas for this summer. And then we will be opening registration end of February or beginning of March. Sports, I just added on here. Currently what we have going on is the men's basketball league, and we had 62 sign up, and then the church league was 56 sign up. And the youth basketball meets on Thursday evenings and Saturdays, and we had 205 kids sign up for that. So that's going on right now, and then soccer sign-ups will begin next month. And then I wanted to add that 2nd Street Park, our committee did meet this month, and so we discussed the plan for completion on 2nd Street Park. And we do have some new contractors that are going to be starting this project, and earthwork will begin in May. And then once the earthwork is completed, we will be able to start the laying of the concrete and stone and everything, and then the equipment installation after that. And so we will be meeting regularly to make sure this project gets completed. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Jones.
Good evening, council. Good evening. Cartersville Fire Department report for December. We'll start off with overtime for December. Finally got the overtime down. Got everybody healthy, got everybody trained. Hopefully back to normal. Total overtime for December was $3,047.37. The FLSA portion of that was $556.38, and then you can also see that we did have some fire call in where we call back off-duty guys to come in and help. That portion was $620.92. Any questions over the overtime? Okay, at the bottom of the page, we'll move on to the fuel usage. You can see December 490 gallons of fuel for a total of 2308.41. There's no questions on that. We'll move on to the incident report. For December, we had a total of 219 incidents, 84% of those being EMS related, 16% fire. Below that, you can see a summary of the categories of the different runs that we had for the month. Following that, you'll see a total yearly run count. We ended the year with 2016 runs, 80% being EMS related, 20% fire. And then below that, you will see also a summarized version of the categories of the runs that we respond on. Next, we will move on to the training report. You can see a list of the training that the guys did on a daily basis that they put on. There's a total of 73 instructed hours for the month. And last but not least, the inspections on the last page. We did 8 inspections for December. That number was down a little bit. Guys don't get out quite as often when it's really cold in the engines. It's just not good to be out, have them out any longer than you have to when it's below freezing. So that number's down a little bit, which may just mean that I need to pick up slack a little bit. I don't know. So, but that's all I got for December. Does anybody got any questions?
Nope.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Coulter.
Well, I got a few things I wanted to tell you about. Justin, can you roll the tape?
What do you want first?
Pictures from the wastewater plant and those ones at the pond. This is our headworks project. There's some pictures in the report that Mike put in there, and these are a little more recent. I took these last week. They're coming right along. They're probably about 30 feet in the ground now in this hole. It's a good 10 foot deeper. And there's dewatering, so go back to that picture of the pond.
That's the one from earlier.
Yeah,
This is the one you sent me.
Yeah, so go back to the first one real quick. That's one I took before we started the dewatering, and that was probably a couple of weeks ago. This next one is one I took today, so you can see it's pretty drastic difference. It's down. Well, those blue stakes were underwater when we started. So they've been going each day and putting these sticks in. They were all underwater, so it's pumping down pretty quick. There's a kind of a deep part towards the western edge of the pond that we think will probably keep water in it. It probably won't dry up. It's looking like. This is the pipe that if somebody was back by the river, they would see that. It's going 24/7, pumping about like that. And there's about 4 million gallons a day being pumped through that. And that's taking all the water out of the ground in that hole that they're digging so that they can get down to where they need to be working in it dry. We had a meeting today and talking about different aspects of it, and probably the best case scenario is they'll be dewatering for about 6 months, and the worst case is that they'll be dewatering for a year. But I'd say closer to the 6 months.
Is that the same as the hole they were digging over at the lift station? Or by John Street?
Same idea. Same idea.
Are they
were-
pumping out of the hole that they're working out of? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It's just way more drastic over here because it's so, we have to go about 60 foot deep.
Okay.
They have to do water about 60 feet deep because of the raw sewage pumps we're putting, the volutes, and go way down deep into the ground, so.
And this pond that you're talking about, is that
Smallies.
Smalley's? Does that keep that water from running in the construction area?
Well, so far, we've been, in the construction area, we've been dewatering about 6 inches a day, and the pond's been going down 4 inches with it. So every 6 inches we dewater, we get 4 inches out of the pond. But it seems like the last few days that it's started to slow up the draining, so we hope the worst of that is over.
Okay, thank you.
We hope it doesn't dry it all the way out. So that was the pictures. Those are some signs I was telling the Board of Works that we got permission today. Those are from the Whitewater Valley Canal Association. They're gonna pay for those signs, but they want us to put those up at different spots along the canal, the historic spots where the locks and everything used to be.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of people tourists that sort of travel the canal and are interested in it. So, I also was telling the Board of Works today that we're gonna cut down a few more trees over at the cemetery that, as you can see, are about shot. They're gonna start falling on the great headstones and everything again, so. And that's one of the little trees on the front. We just repaired that fence over there and spent quite a bit of time and money. And some of these little trees we're gonna
you can see are fixing to fall on it, so we already got those out. Also, if you looked at the utility report, we had a pretty good month in water. With the new rate increases, we'll start to see bumps in the revenue over the next 2 months. You might notice that we ticked up quite a bit on the amount of water we pumped for the month at the water plant. That thing usually runs this time of year about 60 million gallons a month that we pump. It went up to 72, and a good part of that was a big old leak we had at D&M. That was a couple million gallons of that. And we had some other leaks on fire lines that helped add to that total. Quite a few of those we've identified and isolated. So, as I said before, the street department and transfer report were pretty uneventful. There's not much new news in there. So, anybody have any questions?
Get the numbers with you on the investments, bonds, what we're making.
Yeah, I did tell the Board of Works today, we had asked for permission to invest the funds from the Headworks project, which started out being somewhere around $3 million that we had sitting there that would be spent down over the project. And just this last month, we made about $40,000 in interest on that money. So as you can see, that extra money that we make will help cover some of the overages that you know we're gonna have as the project goes on. So I was pretty happy with that.
The leak that you had, you said at D&M? How come that wasn't detected?
Well,
Was that inside a building or
it
something?
ended, the way we, how do we explain that? So we found the leak, we found out we had a leak because we noticed the amount of water we were pumping each day had shot up. So a lot of you see that I post that stuff a lot of times, and sometimes people give us, hey, we saw water here. But anyway, somebody saw it and told us where there was some water coming out of a door, and we went and found it. And that leak, I think, was running about 50,000. Can't remember if Scott was in here, what I told him, but we decided over a couple days we lost a couple million gallons.
But that was inside a building, correct? So apparently it's not an occupied facility.
I think it's partially occupied, but not the part where this water was, I don't think. And I can't remember exactly when it happened, but it was sort of over a holiday and, you know, a period where nobody was in it over a weekend and a holiday and stuff.
I know from my experience, it's been kind of unusual not to, somebody reporting some water someplace.
Yep, usually somebody does.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Brian? Moving on to old business, is there any old business? Miscellaneous business.
This Saturday, January 21st at 1 o'clock, Eagles and the Eagles Auxiliary is hosting a K-9 fundraiser. It is open to the public. We will be playing cornhole and tournaments all day long. We'll have gift baskets that will be raffled off, and then we'll also have some live auction, some really good baskets for a really good cause.
Any other miscellaneous business?
You say all day, what time does it start?
1 o'clock.
1?
Right, anybody out there from the public? Okay, take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Have a good evening.